And we're back with the daily space weather. Thanks for tuning in, folks. We've got ideas about things. And here are some of them. Looking at the sun in 193 angstroms here. We see 0 sunspots. North Pole coronal hole is looking large and very well defined. South Pole coronal hole is looking pretty small. Probably an indication that the North Pole field is weakening or is weaker than it was. Now this thing is a little oblong shaped, so keep in mind as the sun rotates, there is a bit of an offset to the way that coronal hole is shaped. We're going to look at a lot of stuff, so stay tuned. There's a lot of stuff to cover. By the way, happy birthday, smAsho stAff.
In 2018, a crack YouTube unit was sent to social media prison by an algorithm for the crime they didn't commit. These producers promptly escaped from maximum security social media stockade to the internet underground. Today, still wanted by social media, they survive as producers of fortune. If you have a problem, if no one else can help, and if you can find them, maybe you can hire the Smash Team.
And here's a view in 94 angstroms here. See that active region facing the Earth right now? Otherwise, pretty low solar activity. We have a slightly heightened solar wind speed, and we see more coronal mass ejecta. Once again, for at least the second day in a row, we see more ejecta headed down the Earth-facing pike. It's quite amazing, really. But there it is once again. You can clearly see that yesterday at around noontime, Universal, around 12 o'clock Zulu time, whatever you want to call it, there was another Earth-facing coronal mass ejection. Who would have thunk? Those of us who watch, that's who. Let's bring up the LASCO C3 once again to see if it shows up as a halo like the last one. And yes, indeed, once again, we see ejecta out of both sides of the LASCO C3. You can clearly see, and there are links to the Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard below the video if you want to go look for yourself. The LASCO C3, the coronagraph at Earth, showing us that there is more ejecta headed our way. It's a small coronal mass ejection, folks, but nonetheless, it is there, and it will cause some changes in the solar wind speed and, of course, the global current. Let that play one more time. On this ultra early edition. And there it is. Let's move on. And there are the last 24 hours of real-time solar wind. We see a recent shift in the phi angle, which may have aided in my confusion doing show prep today. And we see wild shifts in the phi angle here going on. And it looks like some ongoing coronal hole magnetic connections there. And the earthquake drought continues, really, folks. No 7 magnitude earthquakes in who knows how long. Solar wind density 2.83 protons per cubic centimeter. Solar wind speed currently at 436. And this signature here has the standard signature of a small coronal mass ejection, just like the one we just saw coming off the sun. Now keep in mind these things typically take about 2 days to show up. So the best guess is 48 hours from now. For the one we just saw, 48 hours from when it came off, so that would be tomorrow around noon Universal time. Here's a magnetosphere movie. We're only going to look at the pressure today as there is not a lot going on. Basically just getting a very diffuse solar wind at a fairly high speed, but hey, F equals ma, right, folks? At least at macro scales. Please do not put the word quantum in the comments. Just kidding. You can say whatever you want, folks. Here's the ground geospace magnetic perturbations. And there we go. Again, not a lot going on. Let me speed this up. Nothing really to speak of here. Changes in the B field. nothing to write home about. If you enjoy the content, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Please share on your social media. And please support us via Patreon, as YouTube pays us precisely 0 for these videos. 10.7 centimeter radio flux still at 68 the last time I heard. And let's go into cosmic rays, as we haven't done cosmic rays for a few days here, and it's time to look again. Here's the Apatity neutron monitor and Barentsburg. There's the data from those. And here's the Athens neutron monitor. Move that up so you can see the dates. Here's Mexico City. Here's Moscow, not to be confused with Moscow, which is your mother's bovine dairy animal. And here's Oulu, another Finnish monitor. And here's DOMC Antarctica. And here's DOMB Antarctica. GOES magnetometer is continuing to have sawtooth looking spikes, as we have forecasted on this channel. And it all has to do with the charge of the current sheet, folks. Here is the current sheet as measured by the Gong 2, which is about 50 ground-based magnetometers, as well as stereo B, located under my pointer, and stereo A. You're viewing the sun, at least the best magnetogram we can guesstimate based on these magnetometers, from the polar view. So it's like a top view ecliptic plane field plot. And this is how we expect the current sheet to be charged. Green showing the North Pole and red showing the South Pole. And we see this continued tug-of-war going on. That has to do with that active region, which is exposing the Earth to the North Pole charged portion of the current sheet, as the B field is pulled by that magnetically active plage facing the Earth. Here's another view for your viewing pleasure. And on this view, the B field is indicated in blue, and you can see that plage there, as well as the influence of the North Pole coronal hole. It looks like you're looking right down the North Pole fields there, as you see those green lines kind of pointed towards your face. And indeed, part of those lines are going through your head, believe it or not, folks. This data 1 hour and 50 minutes old. X-ray flux is totally flatline, and the KP is at 2. Pretty good levels there. Seems like a good day to go lay in the sun if it's not frigidly cold where you are. Let's go over the last 24 hours worth of earthquakes, and it's quite a lull, actually. We see around 1140 UTC at Guam, the first one on the list yesterday. That was a 4.7 magnitude. Here's a 4.0 at Indonesia. That one also at depth, similar depth to the Guam quake, and not far away either. Next on the list is a 5.1 at Papua New Guinea. That one at 73 kilometers. Next is a 4.9 at Mexico, a 5.0 at the Recanes Ridge, this one occurring at 1701 Universal Time. Here's a 4.6 at the Philippines, 4.2 at Chile, 4.9 at Japan, 4.9 at Japan. Those are in the same place, I guess. 4.1 at Costa Rica, and a 4.6 at Japan, coming in just about an hour from when we made this video. Links to the USGS site below the video, of course. And here's the pressure map. We'll advance this one day so you can see where the pressure is wherever you are. Please leave a comment if you're viewing our video from Antarctica, a place I am interested in wintering in. I'm a very good shoveler of snow and gatherer of data. that large anticyclone moving off the coast of the U.S., here's where things will be around the time we made this video on Monday morning. That's 10 o'clock UTC. Let's do a volcano rundown. Are you feeling run down? Don't get run down by a pyroclastic flow and know which volcanoes are erupting. Are you thinking about going to Mount Etna? Well, it's been producing volcanic ash, so you may want to kind of stay back to a safe distance, perhaps. Shivaluch back to erupting and exploding, producing a 38,000-foot ash plume close to the stratospheric boundary, especially in a place so far north on the Kamchatka Peninsula. Mount Aso, possible activity, unknown cloud. Mount Ibu exploding once again, 7,000-foot plume there. Mount Takono exploding, 6,000-foot plume there. We're talking about above sea level, folks. Flight level 6,000. Popocatépetl, flight level 21,000, explosive activity. Nevados del Ruiz, possible emissions. Who knows, but it's possible. And they probably can't see it from the satellite. Sabancaya exploding, producing a 25,000-foot plume. And Copihu producing continuous ash emissions. Please do not attempt to do a back handspring over Copihu. We've got sirens going off in the local region here. Maybe they found out where I'm located. Now, we're not shooting this live, but we try to view the videos live. We're going to cover a lot of stuff, including coffee additives. Goes electron flux is at fairly normal levels here. And the relativistic electrons are a little on the high side. We would expect to see a little bit of charging hazards. Nothing to really write home about there, just over the Caribbean and northern South America. Your GPS should be working well. Now, we do see some odd charge-discharge behavior here in the ionosphere. So let's take a moment to check this one out. Some of this going on right above my head. You see the sudden evaporation of the F2 layer there, the yellow turning to red in the northern hemisphere, as well as a sudden large charge up over the western Pacific. A little 14 megahertz spike there. Here's the latest image. This one taken at 7 o'clock Universal Time. Here's where stuff is in the solar system. We've got a gibbous waxing moon. And there's where things will be in 1 week. It looks like we're 1 week from full moon, folks. Please leave a comment if you're viewing our YouTube video from or wherever you're viewing this. Perhaps you're viewing it on BitChute or on Minds. But in any case, please leave a comment if you're viewing from a different solar system, galaxy, plane of existence, multiverse, universe, spacecraft, or through psychic powers. Anyway, here's where stuff is above my head. It's 3:10. Do you know where your constellations are? Well, check out in-the-sky.org. Build yourself a sky map. Here's a lightning map, courtesy lightningmaps.org. And I've zoomed in too far. Anyway, we've got some storms over Missouri and Arkansas. Shout out Springfield. You're going to be missed by this one. However, Branson, there is thunder rolling in. Wow. Some serious lightning strikes there over the Hercules Glades Wilderness area. Please leave a comment if you're camping there and hunkering down in your car right now with the windows up. Here's a U.S. Doppler radar map, courtesy Weather Underground. And there's still some snow falling out there according to the radar. Let's look at the water vapor. If you want to know where the water vapor goes, check out the NASA GOES interactive weather satellite. It's good times. And there we see a major convergence there. Some sudden cloud nucleation despite a bunch of dry mass of air. And let's zoom in on northern Arkansas. And there's that convergence zone. Another interesting spot. If you're located in one of these areas with the dry air that's not experiencing sudden cloud nucleation, go out and have a look at the cloud formations. They should be interesting, to say the least. Here's the jet stream behavior above that area. And let's look at the entire Western world, as we've got viewers who are not in the US. Shout out, leave a comment, let us know where you're viewing from, especially if you've never left a comment before, perhaps. Anyway, there the Western jets. Talk about meridional flow at its finest. It is all over the place. And here's the Eastern world's jets. Do you know the temperature of the Indian Ocean at 3 meters depth? What? You don't know the temperature of the Indian Ocean at 3 meters depth? Then you don't know the planet's climate or temperature. When you check somebody's temperature, do you measure their breath? Well, this is why the atmosphere doesn't measure the climate, folks. And we've graduated to that's censored and that's a sinkhole. This vulgarity-free section brought to you by me at massive personal expense. Let's talk about a hilarious story about something silly that Tony Martin did back in 2015 at the World Championships. Now, Tony Martin is a multiple-time world champion of the time trial in the road cycling discipline. I've got an idea. Don't do what Tony did in 2015. Now, we've got rules in the sport for a reason. And one of the rules is that you're not allowed to have grip tape. Now, you won't get in trouble for it unless somebody protests. And believe me, nobody felt the need to protest because Tony's punishment speaks for itself. Virginia is for lovers. And if you know the distinction between your you-know-what and a hole in the ground, you should know the distinction between your you-know-what and a hole in your shorts, because that's what Tony ended up with, including some lost skin, because he idiotically put grip tape, or allowed his mechanics to put grip tape on the seat to hold his butt firmly in place. Well, it certainly did. And he finished with an abysmal 7th place. Now, he was coming back from an injury. As you can see, he's got KT tape on his knee and stuff. But here's an idea. Don't do stupid things, and you won't get stupid results. Man, oh man. Links to the article below the video if you want to read about Tony's bad day at Worlds. Ugh, not a smart idea. Let's talk about some more stuff, such as where you can get your TT bike fit perfectly, as Becky will do a bike fit with any bike purchase, thrown in as a free service, a value-added service much like this one. Check out theveloshop.net for all of your cycling needs. Turkish President Erdogan vows Sunday incursion into Syria. Yeah. Now, our ally, known as Turkey, which is a part of NATO, if you weren't aware, Erdogan has indicated that he's going to invade Syria today. So let's see what goes on with this. Now, there are U.S.-backed Kurdish forces in this area, which means essentially a proxy war against the U.S. Thanks, Erdogan. How is your jihad doing today? Let's look at the S&P, starting at the stock market crash of 1929, when the S&P's value was 3171. Let's move it forward, as the stock market is currently a little bit overinflated, let's just say. So here's a larger view here. You can see by the time I was born, which was in 1976, it was up to 100, and now it's up to 2,900. A precipitous uptick in the S&P. Let's look at some other market data. Bitcoin has taken a recent hit here. This is Bitcoin as reported by the Coinbase exchange. The volume is pretty low there, on that most recent downtick over the past couple of weeks. But this chart is not particularly healthy looking in my opinion. Let's look at Ethereum. And here's the Ethereum chart as reported by Coinbase. We see the volume much higher. I mean, the volume's 6 times higher than Bitcoin there. Perhaps being viewed as a buying opportunity here. We don't see the recent weakness here. Ethereum, the second largest cryptocurrency after Bitcoin. This is kind of you could say this is the silver standard of crypto. And here's the commodity itself of silver. And you can see there was a very big peak here. It was all the way up to almost $20 an ounce there. And let's look at gold also. And here's the 1-year chart of gold. Silver looks like a better buy to me than this, although gold is quite expensive at $15.10 an ounce. Keep in mind, at times of real recession, these things will rise in price, even from here. Now, despite all kinds of different varying economic news, folks, I want to report on this one little thing here. The US dollar is still strong despite a very high likelihood that the Federal Reserve will cut interest rates again. And this is because other currencies are weaker than the US dollar. And this is part of the reason why the bond yields are inverted right now. It's because people from other countries are trying to seek a safe haven in the form of US bonds. And the way bond yields work, it's a sure indication that the euro is looking ultra weak and the US dollar is the place to hide if you're going to hide in currency. Now, I wouldn't recommend hiding in currency. I would recommend having actual stuff. Real commodities are probably the best thing to own during a legit recession. But it's good news for holders of dollars that the US dollar does not yet show serious signs of currency or sovereign debt level weakness. US cheese importers are stockpiling cheese. Why? Because the government should not be involved in economics, but it is, because there's going to be a 25% tariff slapped on cheese from the EU. So especially hard cheeses like Parmesan and Romano and Provolone and so on. Links to this article also below the video, this one from Reuters. We need a global consensus on getting rid of tariffs, as they do nothing but enrich bloated governments who can't get out of their own way and raise the prices of consumers. Governments are waging a trade war, folks, and it's with your wallet. Let's talk organic coffee. Now, coffee is the most heavily pesticided product in the world because of where it grows. There are a lot of pests. It's heavily sprayed. Switch to organic coffee. This is from wholebeancoffee.org. This is the best, according to their review and full comparison for 2019, the best organic coffee brands. Now, the brand I drink is not on the list, but I don't really care because organic is organic is organic. This lists the origin and so on. So if you're drinking regular non-organic coffee, folks, get off of that stuff. You will notice an instant difference in the taste and probably in how jittery you are. Because don't you find it pretty scary that you might be getting jittery because of pesticides? We noticed a difference. Now, we do add stuff to our coffee every morning, and we're going to be adding cinnamon. Is going to be the new thing in addition to the rest of the stuff. So now we already put coconut oil into the French press, and then after it's brewed, which takes about 4 minutes in the French press, we press it, we pour it. Now it's got coconut oil in it already, which melts, as you pour the hot water on top of the coffee grounds. And then we add a teaspoon of cocoa powder and a significant portion of cayenne pepper to the point where you can taste it. So cheers. Let us know if you add things to your coffee. We're going to be adding cinnamon. Here are some benefits of cinnamon: better heart health, blood sugar regulation, diabetes protection, better brain function, and possibly Parkinson's protection. Let's talk about these 11 health benefits of cocoa powder. This one from Healthline. We've got links to all of these articles below the video, folks, if you want to go read them yourself. It's rich in polyphenols that provide several health benefits. It's going to increase nitric oxide levels, which helps with blood pressure and adds to athletic performance. As we know, many people take supplements to increase nitric oxide. Why not increase it just by adding cocoa? May lower risk of heart attack and stroke. Polyphenols improve brain function and blood flow to brain. May improve mood and symptoms of depression by various means. Flavonols may improve symptoms of type 2 diabetes. May aid in weight control in many surprising ways. Cancer protective properties. Theobromine and theophylline may help people with asthma. Antibacterial and immune stimulating properties may benefit teeth and skin. And last but not least, easy to include in diet. You can sprinkle on all kinds of different things. You can make smoothies, puddings, vegan chocolate mousse, sprinkle over fruit, granola bars, etc. Bottom line is, add some cocoa to your diet. We're not even going to talk about cayenne pepper today. We're going to talk about astrography a little bit, though. Links to this as well. Talking about Plasmascape V007. Shout out to Eugene Bagashoff, Jim Weninger, David Johnson, Chris Monk-Selle. It's good times. So check it out when you like. It's pretty good. It can give you perspective as to where things are pointed, such as if you're concerned about where the sun's pole is pointed, you can go through all of this sort of stuff. It shows you the poles of the planets, and I believe we're talking north poles here, which is why we have the arrow. You can zoom out to different spots, such as here's the heliosphere, and you can see where other things are in the galaxy and so on. So check that out. Again, links below the video. And please don't forget to press like and subscribe on YouTube, as we're having trouble getting to 1,400 subscribers here. And thanks, Smash Team. Don't forget to stay tuned for one, count 'em, bonus feature. But first, again, happy birthday, smAsho staff. Thanks for all your hard work. Now, for all of you folks not familiar with smAsho staff, it's my live-in girlfriend, who our Patreons have been kind enough to allow to be on the payroll. So, thanks again, patrons. Thanks, smAsho staff, for all your hard work. She does things like upload the videos to BitChute. She runs a Twitter account, and we're going to have to put her in charge of Gab. Note to self. And here's the 171 Astrons view to close things out. We'll zoom in on that active region, and then we'll run to the hills. Run for our lives. So there you have it, folks. Thanks again for tuning in. Please leave a comment. Wish smAsho staff a happy birthday. Have a lovely Sunday. Don't forget, when you're staring at the sun, don't drink. And if you drink, stare at the sun anyway. Use the proper instruments. And if you drink, I've got an idea. Don't drive. And since it'll never be now again, may the solar wind be at your back and the atherosclerosis absent from your veins.